The megalithic site is associated with a certain stage of Neolithic development. Then along comes Göbekli Tepe, 7,000 years older than Stonehenge. Incredibly sophisticated site, very large scale.
Researchers were shocked to learn the results of artificial intelligence's recent success in interpreting the symbols that had been used by the Neolithic people of Gobekli Tepe.
This is entirely unacceptable. There could be hidden answers about our lost ancient past waiting to be discovered on these pillars, because all the pillars are trying to tell us some sort of story.
For more than 100 years, many archaeologists have wondered what the V-shaped markings carved into the rocks of the site could mean. Many different theories have been proposed about what the symbols may mean, but nothing seems to work out. As before, every possible interpretation had failed, or had run out of options for interpretation. Now, with the help of artificial intelligence, we are beginning to see an entirely new view of how our ancestors lived and how they viewed their world. But if the symbols finally make sense, what deeper secret were these ancient builders trying to warn us about before everything changed? The Impossible Temple. Deep in southeastern Turkey's rugged hills sits a mystery that seems to fly in the face of logic. Göbekli Tepe rises from the ground, a stone puzzle crafted 12,000 years ago by people who shouldn't have known how to pull off something so grand. The builders should have been hunter-gatherers, living in animal skin tents and wandering across the land to follow the herds. Our school textbooks lead us to believe that these ancient folk could hardly fashion a decent tool, let alone erect a structure worthy of the best modern construction. Yet here it stands, evidence to refute those lessons. These early people somehow cut massive stones with astonishing precision. They figured out how to move 20-ton blocks across long stretches of rocky terrain without wheels or metal tools. They organized hundreds of workers for a project that required engineering know-how we didn't think existed for millennia. The complex sits on 22 acres, and less than 5% has been dug up. What lies below could shock even more than what's already visible. Every new discovery reveals builders with apparently impossible knowledge for their age. After serious digging started in the 1990s, archaeologists were expecting traces of early farming communities. Instead, they found something that flipped archaeology on its head. No houses, no farming tools, no pottery, no trash heaps. None of the things you'd expect from people who live there year-round. Just astonishing stone rings etched with symbols that feel like whispers from a forgotten chapter of humanity. Yet, the strangest thing was not what they had found buried, but how it came to be buried. Somebody had purposefully buried the entire site under tons of dirt, as if to protect it for future generations to dig up. It wasn't a mistake or sloppiness. It was someone's purposeful, meticulous act. The same care taken to build the stones in the first place. Who would try to invest so much energy into concealing something so well? What were they trying to pass along through thousands of years? The clues lie in the enigmatic symbols carved into the stone pillars, waiting for a technology that wouldn't exist for another 12,000 years to unlock their secrets. But what if the real secret wasn't the burial or the builders, but a silent pattern hiding in plain sight all along? The symbol mystery. Every column at Göbekli Tepe holds a memory carved in stone. Lions roam the limestone. Serpents coil through perfect geometric patterns. Wild boars thunder through carved forests, and foxes slip between enigmatic shapes that seem to dance across the surface. But tucked among these lifelike creatures are hundreds of simple V-shaped marks, random to the naked eye. For 30 years, the brightest minds in archaeology stared at those V's and came up empty. Some said they were mere decorations, scratches from bored stone crafters. Others thought they held sacred meaning, perhaps signaling mountains or bird wings in some lost belief system. A few proposed that they were early writing or counting. But counting what? No pattern could be found. The V marks appear pillar after pillar, never in the same quantity or arrangement. Sometimes dozens cluster together like a flock of stone birds. Other times, a single V sits alone on a blank patch of rock. Sometimes they encircle the necks of animals, like tiny collars. The traditional methods hit their limits. Researchers measured, counted repetitions, mapped their ties to the animal carvings, and drafted meticulous drawings of every mark. They convened conferences, poured out papers, and debated for years. Yet the V-shaped signs stayed as inscrutable as on the day they were found. They seemed to obey some kind of logic, but human intuition couldn't crack it. Each new theory spawned more questions. Were they seasonal markers, border signs, records of hunts, mathematical calculations, or prayers? The possibilities stretched on, but nothing could be proved. Then someone asked a different question. What if the fault wasn't the symbols at all, but our own limits to pattern recognition? What if these ancients encoded information in a way we can't decipher? One that only modern computation could reveal? And what if the answer to Gobekli Tepe's greatest riddle lay in artificial intelligence, catching what human eyes had overlooked for decades? The solution, it seemed, would come utterly from an unexpected direction. When machines see what humans cannot. An engineering professor at Edinburgh University approached the Gobekli Tepe mystery with fresh eyes and a strong toolkit. Being a computational expert rather than an archaeologist, he didn't read religious art or ancient decoration into the V-shaped marks. To him, they were raw data, waiting for machines designed to find patterns that humans might miss entirely. With the help of advanced computer programs, he fed the high-resolution images of each different V-shaped carving into these sophisticated systems and taught them how to find mathematical relationships between the carvings, count repetitions, measure the exact distance between the carvings, and identify patterns that might otherwise be too difficult for the human eye to see. They created incredible results from their work. Through the use of machines, they were able to process thousands of V-shaped carvings and extract large amounts of information about those carvings that would have been impossible for any human team to analyze in this way. What was most exciting was that, even though it appeared that the V-shaped carvings were placed randomly, they were anything but random. They hewed to strict mathematical laws so orderly and deliberate that they could only be a coded message of some type. But what sort of information could require such precision in mathematics from a culture that was primarily thought of as struggling to perform simple arithmetic? The programs ran intricate algorithms for several weeks, matching the patterns of symbols against everything from astronomical records to ancient number systems. Machine learning examined possible correlations between symbol placement, animal carvings, and the general configuration of stone pillars. Slowly, incredibly, a mathematical framework began to emerge from what had looked like chaos. As the AI started to identify V-shaped symbols, or Vs, a shift in the way AI worked occurred. Rather than recognizing a V as an individual shape on its own, the AI chose to categorize Vs based on the location of the V as well as how they relate to other carvings. Mathematical patterns that had been hidden from human researchers suddenly became starkly apparent to the machines. The machines achieved something that decades of human analysis hadn't. They identified the organizing system behind the V-shaped symbols. And the real shock came when the AI revealed exactly what these ancient people had been counting on with such care. The discovery showed that Gobekli Tepe's symbols contained knowledge unlike anything seen in prehistoric archaeology. It's a chilling thought. But if the symbols hid knowledge this advanced, what deeper secret were these ancient builders protecting? And why uncover it now? The calendar that shouldn't exist. When the computer finally finished tallying, the researchers blinked in utter shock at their screens. The AI had spotted exactly 365 V-shaped marks on the main pillar, the very number of days in a solar year. Not 364, not 366, but an unerring 365. So these supposedly primitive hunter-gatherers had somehow carved a perfect solar calendar 12,000 years ago. But the AI wasn't about to stop there, revealing a string of wonders. It showed that the builders did not stop with tracking the yearly sun cycle. They engineered what later astronomers would call a lunar solar calendar, a complex system tracking moon phases and solar years with mathematical precision that would not be matched for several millennia. The V marks are clustered into groups matching lunar months of 29 and 30 days, compensating for the moon's irregular cycle. Yet, the real jaw-dropper was to come. This system incorporated precisely 11 extra days for a link between the lunar calendar and the 365-day year. This kind of mathematical correction is credited to ancient Babylonian astronomers around 2000 BCE, but here it was, carved in stone 8,000 years before them. The AI peeled back layers of astronomical knowledge that seemed impossible for the era. The calendar wasn't just about counting days, but an embodiment of sophisticated celestial mechanics that would have needed generations of careful observation and computation. Those ancient people understood ideas that modern astronomy says didn't emerge until much later in history. The truly terrifying part came when scientists measured where certain symbols sat. That solitary V mark near the neck of a carved stone bird wasn't mere decoration. It marked the summer solstice. Computer models of ancient stargazing showed that the bird symbol corresponded to the exact constellation visible at the summer solstice in 10,850 BCE. The builders weren't scribbling random art. They were recording precise astronomical events with accuracy rivaling today's calculations. How could this be possible? It challenges everything we thought we knew about civilization timelines. It didn't stop there. The AI showed that other pillars tracked still more celestial phenomena. One pillar seems to document the torrid meteor stream, a 27-day window of cosmic activity coming from specific directions in space. The ancient builders were recording not just seasonal rhythms, but extraordinary sky-watching events, permanent records of cosmic dangers that could threaten Earth. But it wasn't limited to individual pillars. The entire site was built around astronomy. The AI demonstrated that the configuration of the stone circles, the positioning of each pillar, and even the quantity of the structures were all for a celestial purpose. Göbekli was more than a temple with an attached calendar. The whole complex was a huge stone computer that was designed to map the heavens and record cosmic dangers, thus exposing phenomena too terrifying to imagine. But if these stones were warning markers, not memories, then what were they desperately trying to tell the future, especially us? The day the sky burned. It was the single most alarming truth unearthed by the AI digging. This calendar wasn't just to keep track of the seasons or festivals. It was a record-keeping monument built to mark the planet's closest brush with annihilation, the day cosmic debris slammed into Earth and tipped humanity towards the edge. The programs pinpointed the exact date around which Göbekli's entire calendar revolved. 10,850 BCE. By lining up the star patterns carved in stone with that precise moment, the AI showed how space fragments rained down like artillery, sparking instant, planet-wide climate upheaval and nearly wiping out humanity. Every animal carved onto the pillars wasn't random ornamentation. Every figure maps to a constellation visible at the moment of the catastrophe. They weren't just making art, they were recording the precise astronomical setup as death descended from the sky. They logged which stars lit the sky when their world almost ended. That cosmic impact set off what scientists call the Younger Dryas, a sudden plunge back into Ice Age conditions that stretched for more than 1,200 years. The fragments didn't strike in a single blow. They arrived in waves over several days, each hit compounding the destruction. An entire line of life, mammoths, giant ground sloths, saber-toothed cats, vanished almost overnight. The universe took on a terrifying clarity for the survivors. Space is full of dangerous objects that move along predictable paths through our solar system. The torrid meteor stream that almost erased their civilization still lurks, crisscrossing Earth's orbit every year. And, as the ancient AI calculations reveal, we may be headed toward another era when the most dangerous fragments return. The calendar of Göbekli Tepe was not a chronicle of the past, but a warning to the future. Cosmic threats that move in cycles spanning thousands of years. A message the survivors believed essential to pass along to those who would come after. But if the calendar was only the first warning, what else did these survivors hide in plain sight for us to uncover next? The Survivors Network. The more AI kept studying symbols from remote ruins, the more it uncovered a detail that twisted the Gobekli Tepe even further. The calendar system wasn't just a one-time trick, and the same V-shaped marks, the astronomy, and exacting math showed up at monuments the world over. It hinted that survivors had built a truly international warning network. The computer found strikingly similar symbol systems across sites in Armenia, the Caucasus, and even ancient North American settlements. This was not a case of random resemblances, but of coordinated efforts by survivors who knew that cosmic threats required global cooperation in order to monitor and forecast. By mapping, these sites were positioned to observe the same meteor streams but from different angles of the globe. Each monument acted as a lookout in what could be humanity's earliest planetary defense scheme and proved that the tracking of cosmic danger requires multiple points of view and shared information over huge distances. That degree of organization among so-called primitive, wandering tribes upends many long-held beliefs about prehistoric society. Classic archaeology tends to describe early humans as small, isolated groups with little cross-continental communication. Yet, in this AI revelation, survivors of the celestial calamity had established complex information-sharing networks across thousands of miles. They developed uniform symbols, shared their observations of the stars and planets, and undertook coordinated building projects, all to keep eyes watching the skies for any return of danger. What the AI had inferred from the data was that these ancient minds had conceptualized some sort of prehistoric version of a space agency, revolving around the unsettling premise that the cosmos might strike again. Doing the math and repeating patterns at more than one site suggests that they conserved detailed knowledge of orbital motion, meteor stream cycles, and planetary defense strategies. They realized the threat wasn't a singular event, but part of greater cycles that would return risk to Earth at predictable times. Most disturbing of all, the worldwide dissemination of monuments appears to be calculating something specific about our era. According to the AI's analysis, their ancient astronomical observations and mathematical models seemed aimed at a warning for future generations, us living in our time. That brings up a chilling question. What exactly were they trying to tell us? The mathematics of fear. A new look at Göbekli Tepe is shaking up how we think about early science. Hidden in the distinctive V-shaped carvings lies knowledge of mathematics so advanced that it would be millennia before humanity would rediscover it. The people who left these marks encoded intricate astronomical calculations directly into their stone monuments in ways that still challenge today's computer analysis. The findings from the AI reveal that the builders understood precession, the slow 26,000-year wobble of Earth's rotation that gradually shifts which stars and constellations dominate the sky. Although precession wasn't formally described by science until ancient Greek thinkers around 150 BCE, the Göbekli calendar was already accounting for its effects 10,000 years earlier. The mathematical accuracy is astounding. AI from the analysis says that this calendar stayed accurate to within days over thousands of years. Somehow, these survivors had been able to predict when dangerous meteor streams would return to Earth's neighborhood, how Earth's changing orientation would alter the visibility of cosmic threats, and how to safeguard this knowledge across generations. The methods they used seem beyond what the tech of their era could produce. What really stands out, though, is that the math centers on cosmic danger. Much of the computational effort seems aimed at tracking objects in space that might threaten the planet. They calculated how long orbits of comet fragments would take, forecast where debris fields would cross Earth's path, and even estimated likely sizes and impact spots of future celestial projectiles. The models that were unearthed suggested we might be heading into a period of heightened cosmic activity. The very debris streams that hammered Earth 12,000 years ago follow patterns, bringing them back into close, risky proximity on regular cycles. By the researchers' reading of the ancient calculations, that cycle might be peaking right now, possibly leading to events unlike anything we've witnessed before. But if ancient minds truly foresaw a cosmic peak in our own era, what message were they desperate for us to decode today? The warning across time. According to the findings obtained through artificial intelligence, the true function of Göbekli Tepe was to create the first known long-term warning system regarding the potential for cosmic disasters that has existed for thousands of years. The symbols represent multiple levels, like historical documentation of all previous cosmic cataclysms, future projections of upcoming cosmic catastrophes, and how to survive those disasters in the future. The ancient people who constructed Göbekli realized that the potential for cosmic disasters takes place over a period of time much longer than what could be maintained via the oral tradition. Therefore, Göbekli should be seen as a long-term repository of potentially life-saving knowledge, rather than a religious structure. By utilizing their astronomical models, it is predicted that Earth is entering an age that matches the debris fields that destroyed their civilizations. Already, modern-day astronomers are discovering objects that correspond to the descriptions provided by ancient astronomers. Therefore, while it appeared that our ancestors were celebrating their accomplishments via the building of Gobekli Tepe, in actuality, they were providing urgent warnings to humanity regarding the possibility of yet again encountering devastating cosmic threats. The decision on whether or not to heed their warning will ultimately dictate whether or not humanity survives its next encounter with a cosmic catastrophe. The cycle returns. Artificial intelligence has deciphered Gobekli Tepe symbols that indicate we are not the first advanced civilization on Earth. A cycle of cosmic catastrophes that devastated our ancestors is returning. The Göbekli calendar proves that prehistoric humans had complex astronomical knowledge before the comet strike. Humanity does not develop linearly. We develop and destruct repeatedly in cycles. The ancient symbols demonstrate that earlier humans alerted us about the cycle. Astronomers today are tracking these same type objects, as NASA and other space agencies identify asteroids that will eventually intersect with our planet. Göbekli Tepe was the first planetary defense center established by survivors who recognized that asteroids routinely threaten human life. They established a warning system to provide information about asteroids to future generations, as they predicted that human civilization would face the same life-or-death challenges that plagued their civilization. Thank you for watching. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments, and make sure to like, share, and subscribe.